Hello everyone, Busaba Studios here again with another video. And for a while I actually thought of talking about this for quite some time now. Originally during the Legacy era of Become the Killer, I wanted to talk about this, but I had a feeling that I shouldn't, but let's be honest, considering those two other said projects been out before already, and some people probably already knew about these two games' existence. Probably a lot, who knows? Um, Still, I wanted to talk about this for quite some time. So, Become the Killer. A great and fun game created by the GOAT himself, HarryRogue. However, what if I told you that there's actually two other projects that HarryRogue actually made? Because HarryRogue did create other games, but the question is, why are they not on Roblox? It's simple, because HarryRogue himself closed these two specific projects down for reasons that probably has something to do with, like, wanting to recode them to make them better, or probably because of different reasons. And those two said other projects are Become the Next Spot, or just Band for short, and Become an Entity, or BAE for short. Now, I actually played those two games before. I never uploaded videos of me playing Become a Next Spot. However, some other content creators before me, obviously, had uploaded very old footages of playing Become a Next Spot of, well, what again, these are very, very old footages of what other content creators posted about Become a Next Spot. Because I mainly played Become a Nextbot during its like current state at the time before it closed down and such. But these old like YouTube footages I found on YouTube were like during like years ago, like very old days of Become a Nextbot era. Um, so I guess you could say that you could technically see what the game used to look like before now if you ever played the game before it closed down. But yeah, I'm going to talk about what I assume is HarryRogue's first ever project, Become a Nextbot. Now, Become a Nextbot was probably HarryRogue's first project, and was most likely made due to the popularities of Nextbots during the time. Because years ago, or I think, Nextbots were pretty fucking popular, especially certain other Roblox games like Nico's Nextbot and Evade, which are still doing pretty well to this day. And then there's HarryRogue's game, which isn't as big as like the other two, but definitely does have potential because of constant updates and such. Because HarryRogue actually used to constantly update that game consistently back then. Become the Next Spot is a simple game and a fun one too. There's two sides you can play as. You can play as survivors and you can actually play as the Next Spots. The Next Spot's objectives are pretty simple. Chase out the survivors by finding them and touch them to kill them. Meanwhile, the survivor's objective is to, well, survive as long as you can and avoid the next spot. Very simple game concept, but pretty fun. Now, again, I actually never played Become a Next Spot during its very, very old days. By seeing again, I seen YouTube footages of what the game used to look like before I even came to the picture and started playing it. But again, I have played Become a Next Spot before. It was pretty fun. Hell, I even bought a Game Pass so I can play as Angry Muncie, who is my favorite Next Spot, by the way, of all time. Now, I'm pretty sure this was HarryRogue's first project before Become the Killer even came into the picture, which I'm assuming Become a Killer was HarryRogue's second project. Because I also seen very old footages of what Become a Killer used to look like, too. Become a Killer used to look like, well, pretty much a knockoff of this old Roblox game called Survive and Kill the Killer in Area 51, which what this game is clearly based off of. But now, as occurring right now Become a Killer, while yes, still keeping the Survive and Kill the Killer Area 51 base of what the game is based off of, now the game has a full-on recode update and everything, and now the game looks way better and even is a lot better too, as of right now. Um, but this video isn't about Become a Killer. Yes, even though there's Become a Killer footages in the background, this game is about the two other projects, Become a Nextbot and Become an Entity. Um, and of course, during the time where Become a Nextbot was, doing pretty good, again, HarryRoges was constantly updating Band, which is why Band was doing so well, because HarryRoges just keeps updating the game consistently. And then as time went on, Become a Killer came to the picture. While both Become a Killer and Become a Nextbot were pretty good games during their time, especially during the old days, as time went on, both games were also getting updates as well. However, unfortunately, as time went on, Become a Nextbot eventually started to die. Why? Well, it's quite simple. Become the Killer is just not only the better game, but the more fun game, which Become the Killer started becoming even more popular, even during the Legacy era, by the way. But it got to a point where it was getting popular to the point, well, Become the Nextbot started to eventually and slowly die. Now again, I didn't really play Become the Nextbot and Become the Killer at the time until maybe somewhere during September, maybe I don't know, maybe late September or something. I think it was I think it was during December of 2024, I believe, because that was the time when me and my family got better internet. Because I couldn't really play Roblox that much during the time, because the internet was not that good for me back then. Until somewhere in September, I believe. Back in 2024. That was during the time when I actually played Become a Killer, and eventually as months went by, I did start playing Become a Nextbot, and it was pretty fun. But yeah, Become a Nextbot, which again I assume is HarryRoges' first project. I can tell why it was pretty well known and somewhat popular during the time, even though there was two other Nextbot games, which were Evade and Nico's Nextbot. But yeah, I can tell why. But eventually, Become a Nextbot did end up falling apart because Become the Killer was just the better and more fun game. Which I can assume that was the case. Hell, at some point, the game, HarryRoges himself even shut down the game. Well, I wouldn't say shut down, he closed Become a Nextbot down. Now, I'm assuming it's because he wanted to do a recode of that as well, which he tried to do a recode of that game before, but it didn't do too well, because I'm assuming it didn't live up to its expectation, yeah. Or maybe because there's probably no point of updating it, considering his best project, Become the Killer, is just doing too well. Which again, if that's ever the case, then it's sad, because Become an Xbox is pretty good too. In fact, I consider that game just as fun as Become a Killer. Yes, I love Become the Killer a lot, but I think Become a Killer. I meant Become a Nextbot. I think Become a Nextbot is just as fun, just as good as Become the Killer. I would have played that just as much as Become the Killer if I really did get to that point. If there's ever a time, I would have played Band just as much as I played BAK. Because I love HarryRoges' project already, which has Become the Killer. Why not I try his other projects once in a while? But then again, Band eventually died and was closed down because, well, yeah. Now I'm going to talk about HarryRoges' other project. which I actually played, and even I actually uploaded an old footage of me playing that game before on my YouTube channel. I know you're not gonna be able to find it easily because there's only one footage of me playing it, but if you scroll down and really dig deeper, you will eventually find my video of me playing Become an Entity, which is what I'm going to talk about right now. Become an Entity, which I assume is HarryRoges' third project. Now, Become an Entity isn't like HarryRoges' two other projects, Become a Nextbot and Become a Killer. Become an Entity, or BAE for short, is simply setting more for a more asymmetrical sort of scenario. Yes, Become an Entity is a asymmetrical horror game this time, unlike the other two projects where they just a more free roam sort of game. Become an Entity is a asymmetrical horror game that, for basically a viewer, excuse me, Become an Entity, for what a viewer told me during a stream one time, when I think it was during the 1000 stream special, a viewer of mine who was a fan of HarryRoges project too told me that Become an Entity was based off of another Roblox game called Meg, or MEG, which was a Backrooms fan game where your objective was to complete certain objectives and leave the Backrooms level. If that is true, Harry, if your project Become an Entity was based off of Meg, then that's really cool. Because I actually did play Meg during the stream during the time, the 1000 sub special stream, and I gotta say, I can tell why he would have took inspiration from that game alone. Then again, I don't know if that was true, but it would have been awesome if that was the case. Now, I didn't really play much of Become an Entity. I only played like one match of that game and that's it. Why only one game? Because people don't even freaking play it. I'm not kidding. When the game first came out, I would have thought of like, yeah, the game would have came out and the game would have gotten some recognition at first. But when I tried to play it, no one was fucking playing it. Like, there was zero active players playing Become an Entity. Like, just there was just fucking nothing. No one was playing it. The only time I ever got to play a match, I managed to actually play a game with like one or two people, or one person. There was one person playing it, and that was it. Now, again, you can actually find old footages of me actually playing the game before, if you really look deeper into my YouTube channel. But you can also find some old short clips of HarryRoges himself playing the game too. So you can kind of get a hint of what the game looked like before, you know, the game just died in a matter of like a couple days or so because no one fucking plays it. Plus the game closed down too. So yeah. So what is Become an Entity? Well, again, it's an asymmetrical horror game, so it's not like HarryRoges' other two projects. There's two sides. You got the you got the gas mask fellas which are the survivors, and then we got the entities, which are the killers. The survivors, or I guess I could say the gas mask yellow fellas, their objective was to, I think you were supposed to like do some kind of task or collect some kind of task to complete. If you complete said task, you have to escape the level. I think that's how what it's supposed to be. Again, I only played one fucking match, and it was a killer match. So I don't fucking know what Survivor gameplay is like. Then there's the entity side, which again is the only side I played because I only played one match. It just so happened to me to play as an entity. And there's multiple different entities. Each entity have their own stats and different abilities most likely. The entity's objective is simple. Kill the survivors, and you win. Only one player can play as the entity, while the rest are the contract fellas, the yellow suit men. Um, Now how to play as both sides is quite interesting because when I played it, there was a morph thing as well. Oh yeah, there's also a different way to how you actually start up a game. So certain games like Doors or Pressure where you had to go to like some kind of elevator or something. You can either go in the elevator solo or you can just wait for more players to join you on said elevator and play the game. Become an Entity actually has the same rule. There's like elevators that you have to go in, but unlike Doors and such, where you just simply play the game solo, you actually have to wait for more players to, well, join you on said elevator because it's an asymmetrical horror game. So obviously you need two players to enter in an elevator, of course. Now, again, becoming a survivor and becoming an entity is actually quite interesting. Because instead of like certain ASIMs like Forsaken or Pillage A2 or Outcome Memories or other ASIMs where like a certain player has to have the most malice or the most monster chance or the most EXC chance, Become an Entity actually does it a little differently. Instead of like having the most chance to be an entity, um players can actually choose players can actually come up with a choice who gets to be the entity and who should be the survivors. Yes, there's morphs. There's a morph where only one player can touch to become an entity, and the other morph where the rest of the players can become the yellow hazmat suit guys, which basically can cause them problems too, because this can cause them issues like players wanting to play the entity, but the other player managed to get to play entity instead. But then again, if people actually use their brains, people can think to themselves, "Hey, which one of you guys want to be the entity, and which one of us should be a survivor?" It's interesting if you really think about it. Interesting concept, but can be poorly executed because again, there are really toxic and salty players that just really, really badly want to play as an entity. But then again, cool concept. Like you can think to yourself, hey, which one of us? Like, say for example, you are playing this with a friend, and you and your friend are coming up with a discussion. Hey, do you want to play killer or should I play killer? Hey, do you guys want to play killer and we should play survivor? It's interesting. You can think to yourself and think, which one of us should play the entity and which the rest of you guys should play the hazmat guys? It's interesting. Because it's not like, the other ASINs were like, oh, you have the most chance, therefore you get to be the killer. No, you actually gotta think and even discuss with your buddies, or even discuss with random guys like, hey, do you want to be killer, we be survivor, or should I be killer, you guys be survivor? Something like that. Just discuss this with your friends. Do you want them to be the entity, or do you want and the others be the survivors, or should I be the entity and the rest of you be hazmats? It's interesting. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. Become an entity also has really good potential. Again, I played one game of it, and I see really good potential of it. But unfortunately, that game died way too fast. Not as fast as like Become a Next Mod, but oh my god, this game did not live to its expectation at all. Like the game is good, don't get me wrong, but god damn, it's such a shame that no one even fucking plays it. I could you not. Every time I check on Become an Entity to see if I can see if there's any active players, nobody was fucking playing it. Zero active players were playing Become an Entity, which is a shame. It's such a shame that a game like that died so quickly, which sucked. That game had potential. I played one game. I only got to play the entity. I never got to play what the survivor side is like. Because it was cool. It had potential, but it died so fast because no one fucking played it. And not to mention, as I said before, with the Become a Next Boss situation, Become the Killer is just simply HarryRoges' best project, which just kills off any other future or even old project that HarryRogue creates. Hell, even if HarryRogue ever goes out of the way to become a next bot and become an entity, the Recode treatment as well, would that really give the two games the recognition they deserve? Or will the two games still end up dead because people are just only going to play Become a Killer because Become the Killer is just the best game? Honestly, if that's ever the case, that would suck. Because Become an Entity, I played one game of it, and that game has potential, so much potential in fact, to become really good if people just actually gave it a chance. It sucks that I only played one game with one other player because no one fucking plays Become an Entity. No one fucking plays it. I checked and checked. Zero active players. Zero active players. That's how dead the game is. As for Become a Next Plot, at least I actually have people. At least I actually see some active players play it. But even then, eventually the game's gonna die too because Become a Killer. It's just the best project. Now, here's what I'm thinking in my head right now. Will Become a Next Bot and Become an Entity ever make their return? I don't know. I I don't know. I just don't know. If those two games are gonna die during the legacy version of those two games, then what the fuck's gonna happen when those two games ever get the Rico treatment? Become the next part will get the Rico treatment. Like God forbid those two games get the Rico treatment. If Become the next part gets the Rico treatment and it still doesn't have much active players because of Become the Killer being the better game, then that's just sad. Because HarryRogue put effort into making those two games, only for those two games to flop because Become a Killer is just simply the better game. Don't get me wrong, I love Become the Killer. I played this game. I played Become the Killer a lot. I love Become the Killer. Hell, I love what HarryRogue did with the Recode update. The Recode update really made the game actually better. Better to play and made the game look a lot better to look at too. But it's kind of a shame too. Because as much as I really love Become the Killer, as I still do, it is a really good game. Really fun, in fact. But I really have high hopes for the other projects too. I enjoyed Become a Next Spot, even before the game closed out. And even if I only played one game of Become an Entity, I still liked it. Become an Entity had freaking potential. In fact, both games could have potential to be just as good and not just as fun as Become a Killer. But I don't know if that will ever happen. Who knows? Maybe those two games never will come back and the only game we just will get to play from HarryRogue is just Become the Killer. Because then again, as I said before, those two games died. Become the Killer died as time went on because, well, who knows? Maybe because Become the Killer is just a better game. And Become Entity didn't even fucking last that long when it first came out. Like, it didn't even last that long when it first released. That's how fucking quick it died. Now, do I still have high hopes for Become a Nextbot and Become an Entity? Yes, I do in fact have high hopes. Because again, I played those two, and they were good. Again, I don't know if those two ever will get the Recode treatment when they do make their returns, if it ever happens in the future. But who knows? I really hope these two games don't die though, if that ever happens. Because then again, Became a Netspot died as time went on, and Become an Entity just died in a matter of days. I don't know. I don't know. It is a shame though. Again, I love Become the Killer. I'll still become the Killer. But for fuck's sake, I think it's always good to give HarryRoge's project another chance. Like, just give his other projects a chance, actually. Because he did work his hard ass off to even make these projects to begin with. He worked his hard ass off to make a recode update for fucking Become the Killer, for God's sake. I couldn't imagine how much hard work he had to put up just to do recode updates for his two other projects. Now, in conclusion, will Become a Killer ever kill HarryRoges' two other projects if they ever make a return as recoded? God forbid HarryRoges makes a new project that has something to do with. Sorry, this video is not scripted. That's why I tend to stutter. But God forbid Harry creates a new game, a new project that also has something to do with become a something. God forbid HarryRoges creates a new become a something game, and all of a sudden that game ends up dying in a matter of days because people like Become a Killer more. God forbid that ever becomes the case. But that was the case, that just sucks. Because HarryRoges puts effort into creating either these new projects or just recreating and doing recodes of old projects just for those projects to just not do well because Become a Killer is just a better project. Which, that's really shitty if you really think about it. Again, Become the Killer is really good. I love Become the Killer. I do not want to see Become the Killer die. But I also think that Harry's other projects deserve some recognition too. It deserves to be known. Just to let you know, Become a Next Bot, which I assume became a thing before it became a killer, became fucking hell. I'm saying become a lot. Please drop down in the comments to how many times I said the word become. But yeah, ban or become a next bot was a thing before it became a killer even came to the fucking picture. I don't know, bro. It just sucks to even think about it at this point. Cause again, I love Become a Next Bot. I would have played that just as much as Become the Killer. I would have played it just as much as that. Um, as for Become an Entity, I don't even know if I can. I don't even know. Cause again, I only played one game of it. In fact, I couldn't play the game I wanted to begin with because no one fucking played it. No one played it at all. But now I need to ask myself, will these two games ever make a return? Will these two games ever make a return with the Rico treatment just like Become a Killer? Again, I don't know. I have a feeling that those two games might just end up dying still because, again, Become the Killer is just Harry's best project. Or again, if Harry somehow ends up making a new project that is the same formula, Become a something, will it ever do good? Or will it end up dying a matter of days later because Become the Killer is the better game? I don't know, dude. It's just really shitty to even think about. Because I had such high hopes for Become an Entity, and I actually like Become a Nextbot. Again, if that was the case, I would have played Become a Nextbot just as much as Become a Killer. I would have. I would have. If that was ever the fucking case. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm Boo Cyber Studios. That's the end. Bye bye.